The Good Buddies Anime Podcast is hosted by two rowdy, foul-mouthed American cowboys. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey Good Buddies, what's up and welcome into the Good Buddies Anime Live Action Review Show.
Oh boy, it's different.
I am your good buddy Roger.
And I am your good buddy Brandon.
And we are reviewing our first live action show.
Yes.
It's anime adjacent.
Yeah. You know as much as we talked about Cowboy Bebop that when the live action showed up, we couldn't just not do it.
Oh yeah.
So it's happening.
Yeah.
We are still going to do it our review style. It is, as we always do, a review of recommendation. Do we, your good buddies, think you, our good buddies, should check it out? And Roger, if this live action show was Boo Boo Skunk Garbage, what would you call that?
I'd call it an anime, maybe not.
Would you call it live action, maybe not?
Yeah, live action, maybe not.
We call it an anime, maybe not. What if it wasn't the worst thing you'd ever seen?
Live action, meh.
What if it was average?
Live action, maybe.
What if it was actually pretty good, though?
My guy, that's a live action, most definitely.
You're killing me.
Yeah.
And finally, if it was like so good, Roger, if it was amazing,
that would be animazing.
Okay.
I'm not even going to try.
Not even going to try it. And the way we get there is we have 5 different categories that we usually go over with a slight tweak. So, Roger, what is that first category we're talking about?
The story and setting.
That second one, sir.
The characters and development.
That third one.
The art and animation.
But this time it will be
the visuals.
Aha. And then that fourth category is the
soundtrack, which is in fact did have.
Oh yeah, can you believe it? And finally, that Good Buddies Wriggle Room, that fifth category, that je ne sais quoi. You didn't say it with me.
Oh man.
Oh, buddy.
Sorry, dude. I got the goo.
He's got the goo. His brain's a little gooified right now.
Yeah, it's all gooed up.
But Roger, what does that mean?
I do not know what.
I don't know either. But here we go, guys. And you know, there's a thing we used to do on here. Before we go into the story and setting and get to it, we would do a quick pitch, just a little something, and we kind of got rid of it because we usually end up discussing this stuff throughout the review anyway. But I just want to hit y'all with one right now, and that is this: call this a preview of the je ne sais quoi, if you will, and that is, we said it before, if you want to watch Cowboy Bebop, just watch Cowboy Bebop. This is not the same. It can't be as good. It just can't be as good.
Yeah.
So why bother?
It's never even. Cowboy Bebop is so nostalgic to most people.
Mm-hmm.
It will never, ever, ever be able to bring that nostalgia for you.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they did it perfect, even if they shot things scene for scene, you will never get that nostalgia.
You will not, indeed. So anyone who walks into this one thinking they're going to watch the anime, you're in for a bad time, and you really should not compare the two.
Yeah.
We will now compare the two.
Hey,
That's what we're going to do now.
That's what we got to do.
So let's talk, because you can't talk about it without talking about it. So let's start it up, Roger. Story and setting. You want to take it or you want me to start?
You go ahead and take it, dude.
All right. So I'm actually using notes this time. Last few reviews we did were off the dome, but I got some notes for this one.
See,
so
I knew you had some notes.
You knew I had it. Most of the framework here is the same. You know, still the future, still a lawless star system filled with criminals and bounty hunters that track them down. You still got the hyperspace gates and the disaster and all that stuff. But a decent amount of the backstories and characters have been tweaked a bit. So, for example, and we won't get too spoilery here, but for example, Jet is still a gruff former cop, but also now he's got a daughter and an ex-wife, and his ex-wife has a new husband who he used to work with.
Yeah.
For example.
In the anime, Jet had an ex-girlfriend or something like that.
Yes, but no kid.
No kid. And he was often, though, characterized as the dad of the show, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
He was the dad of the ship, so it kind of makes logical sense.
Right. Most of the, I think I told you I called them capital C choices that they make with these characters and stuff.
Choices.
Choices. Most of them work.
Yeah.
Some of them I side-eye a little bit. Some of them are suspect.
Yeah.
But as its own individual show that is inexorably linked to the anime but is this new thing, I think for the most part it works fine.
Yeah.
The one that really kind of, and we'll talk about it more, that kind of weirds me is that So a big thing in the anime, and minor spoilers for the anime, we're going to do a little bit of spoiling on the anime because shit's different now.
Yeah.
But one thing is that Spike is trying to find Julia the whole time through the thing, to the point that he flips out. If someone even says the name Julia, he flips out and takes off with nary a care or consequence. He does not care. He's trying to find her. This one, he knows exactly where she is, but he doesn't immediately go after her for reasons, which we can't really get into, but reasons. So again, some of those choices work. Some of them are okay.
And it does come back around a little bit.
It ends up being a pretty big plot point.
There were a couple of changes or characters that I didn't quite understand. Like Mao, I didn't really understand why they didn't just make the Trax guy or whatever his name was. Why wasn't that just Mao?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the
Mao
thing,
just seemed like a weird change.
It's one of those where like Mao ends up in the anime was like a pretty big part of like Battle of Fallen Angel, like a huge part of it, like the impetus for a lot of stuff that goes down. But in the grand scheme of this program, doesn't really work. So instead they just switch it up and make it this other character. Right. Which I think is still fine. Yeah. Ends up being like big in a different way.
It was like one of the ones I noticed. I was like,
yeah, there's a few of them. A lot. There's a number of characters who just are different people. In fact, you could easily argue that the main cast is different people. Certainly different personalities. But most of the framework is the same. I think that's fair. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to say anything more about it or go on to the...
No, man.
All right. Characters in development, baby. First thing I wrote down, it's not bad, just different.
Yeah, it's not bad. Actually, quite like our characters. I actually think that there were some good changes in here.
I think it works. Go ahead.
There were characters like, well, obviously our main three, I felt like in this one, I know a lot of people complained about Faye, but I always felt like Faye was a badass. And I felt like she was really badass in this one. Yeah,
I think for me, the issue I have is not even really an issue. It's just I totally understand how some of the dialogue she has, like the way she's written, could be grating.
Yeah.
Like Faye in this show is
lots of profanity.
Yeah, and she's much more like in the anime, they all have funny bits, and in the show, they all have funny bits. But in the anime, Faye, for the most part, and this feels weird to say about Faye, was more reserved than we get in this show.
Okay. Yeah.
In this show, like at one point, she just screams, "Welcome to ouch, motherfuckers," and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, that was a bad line.
That's a bad line.
There are in general, there are some bad one-liners in this show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to.
I guess most shows they gotta have the one-liners.
Yeah,
people love them, but I mean, whenever Faye would be flying through space or get caught or something, and she'd say balls or something like that. Yeah, that didn't really bother me. I thought it was kind of funny, but yeah, whenever you say things like "Welcome to Ouchville" or
ouch motherfuckers. Yeah. Just welcome to ouch. I was like, I wasn't looking at the screen.
A high moment too.
Yeah, I was not looking at the screen when that line occurred, and I was like, what did she say? And Haley said, she said, welcome to ouch, motherfuckers. And I was like, I'm gonna rewind it because I didn't believe her.
at a really awesome scene too.
Yeah,
come on, guys.
And that's not to shit on any of these actors, because honestly, I think all the actors do great with what they're given.
Yeah. I think the lines were written for them. So.
I think most of I do have some issues with some of the dialogue, but it's not the worst I've ever seen. So this is the thing I'm going to do a lot. I'm going to compare things. I'm going to say the dialogue in this one I felt was better than, I'll say, Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah,
but not as good as like an Edgar Wright movie. You know what I mean? Which I only draw that comparison because at one point they do they literally pull a line from Scott Pilgrim where he's like, "You didn't read the thing? I skimmed it. You skimmed it." Like that's literally a line from Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's really, the thing is and it's a point I think I made to you when we were texting about it beforehand, is that it's not as good as a show it can't be, But for just a Netflix show, it's better than a lot of shit I've seen.
Spoiler here, I do think this is a watchable show.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
I got a few things about some of the specific characters here. I'll just run through. Spike is mostly Spike. The thing with him not going after Julie ends up being a plot point, so I won't get into details. But to see him go from like rushing off at the mention of the name Julia to just sort of being future boy space cucked, I guess, it's a little bizarre. It's a little bizarre to see that at first, but yeah. One could argue, and this is a thing I've seen people saying, that Jet spending the first few episodes freaking out about trying to get his kid a toy for her birthday is a little out of character, but I don't think it is really, because that's totally Jet's thing. Is he cares very much about the connections he has because he's been betrayed so much, so he would do anything it takes to keep this one. Yeah, and we don't see him with a kid in the anime, so we don't know that he wouldn't act like this.
He's desperate to try and be there for his daughter.
Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah. Why wouldn't he be?
And the guy who plays Jet kicks ass, by the way.
Oh, God, yeah.
John Cho's very good as Spike.
Shakir,
yeah. He's very good. And Faye, like, they're like pretty much all of them are very good at what they're doing.
I think they nail it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, damn. Again, the characters are different from the anime, but they do really well.
There are moments where you could probably turn your head and hear a line from Mustafa Shakir playing Jet, and think, if you didn't know what was on, you might think it was anime.
I don't know about that, but yeah,
I think it's very
a point.
Close,
he does a really good growly voice. I will say in those first few episodes, I felt like he was yelling a lot to get the growly voice, but as it went on, I think the show
overall, as it went on, got better.
Yeah,
everything seemed smoother.
Honestly, that first episode, if you watch one, this is not a one and done. You cannot watch that one and get a feel for it, because you got to give it at least 2, maybe 3, because that first one is not that great, y'all. Yeah, it's not that great. But yeah, the big one for me is, okay, here's what I wrote down here. The guy who plays Vicious. So in the anime, Vicious is this stone-faced killer. He is an absolute menace of a person. He's
kind of like an enigma, dude.
Yeah.
In the show.
Whereas
in the anime.
Yes, in the show here, he is much more animated than his animated counterpart.
Yeah, he's a lot more prominent too.
Yes, and he's there more, and he makes these faces, and I'm like, I can't abide by his buffoonery. It's weird because there's these bits where like they do these little comic relief bits with pretty much everyone. Everyone gets like 1 or 2 laughs. Even Vicious has some parts that are like kind of funny, but like I don't feel like it works for that character. Even though it is a different character, I don't feel like it works because he's not goofy enough to be the Joker, and he's not serious enough to be Lex Luthor. He's just kind of this weird in-between dude. It doesn't really work for me. But
and in the anime, like the Vicious that you're used to, like I said, it's kind of an enigma. He's like, you don't get a whole lot.
He's
from
just
him,
in and out, like for a couple episodes, and he's scary.
Not very scary in this one.
Yeah, not really, no.
But it was a good character, I still think.
I think it works. It's just, again, in the comparison, like there's no way.
Yeah.
None of this is gonna live up to the comparison. It just can't. Yeah. I will say another thing I wrote here is I feel like a lot of these characters are defanged. Like they're just not as tough. They're not as scary. They're not
especially I would say like the villains in the show.
Yeah, for sure.
They are. I said to you they're much more flat. Even though there's more time allotted to them, it spends less time with their reasoning and what makes them tick, like it does in the show, or like it does in the anime. And here they're just kind of like a side piece to get to the bounty, whatever, to build our main characters as it is.
Yes.
Where in the anime they feel much more standalone.
For sure. Let's talk about some of this dialogue a little more, because I feel like...
Is it time to talk about Woodcock yet?
Let's talk about Woodcock. First of all, let me say that I feel like the dialogue in this show is honestly decent when they are just fucking around, like they're just hanging out on the ship. Yeah. It's really fucking good. It's pretty funny, and it actually drives their characters decently. It feels
like a team, yeah.
The bits where they are like pushing the narrative along and stuff sometimes fall flat for me. There's some bits in there that don't really work. I'll just throw this one out there. There is one line that gets said that is straight out of the anime, and it's you know when it is, and it fucking works. But there's other bits that are straight out of the anime that do not. I'll get to one of those later. But let's talk about fucking Woodcock. Woodcock is an informant who works with Jet, and she is an older lady. She's like one of those saucy old broads.
Yeah, I would say she's
got her titties pushed up.
She's a golden age cougar, maybe.
She loves her cheetah prince, and she is so horny for Jet. And I'm just gonna say this right now: if you are dating someone who is of a different race or skin tone than you, or you're flirting with someone who is of such, please don't ever compare them to food. That's a bad idea. She is absolutely just fetishizing Jet. Jet is a black man in this movie. Mustafa Shakir.
If it is hard for you, if it is hard for you to understand because you're white like me, just imagine somebody walking up to you and be like, "You look like a nice glass of strawberry milk."
Okay. Yes, he is compared to a tall glass of chocolate milk, and we gotta go with the line, baby. Jesus Christ.
Now, my good buddy Brandon.
Hang on.
Nice glass of chocolate milk, light chocolate milk.
How dare you? Okay, so
Nesquik,
you know what Jet says. Let's just do the fucking scene. I will be playing the role of Woodcock.
Okay.
Jet is trying to get some information from her, and she will do it for one thing. She says, well, maybe if we get some dinner together, you, me, nice bottle of Chianti, maybe two. She has a lisp, by the way. I'm not just doing a voice.
Yeah.
Maybe two. To which Jet responds,
sounds like blackmail to me.
well, yes, it is, because you are black and you are male. And you can't do that.
But
holy shit, y'all.
I will say that this scene is fucking hilarious.
It's very funny. I don't think it's funny for the right reasons.
Well, part of the reason is too.
John Cho is trying not to crack.
Yeah, his delivery, his mannerisms in all the scenes with her are wonderful.
Oh yeah,
they're fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, it is. Y'all, it's some
like,
shit.
It feels like if you were with a friend in that situation, you would probably act the exact same way. Like,
yeah. No, I've been like, not even with friends. I remember being at the Target one day and seeing what is unmistakably a black woman standing in line at the friggin' what do you call the Starbucks, and a younger white girl walking up behind her and saying, "Oh, I love your hair," and just grabbing it. And that woman turns around and said, "Did you just touch my hair?" And she makes eye contact with me, and I'm just like,
yeah,
like huge bug eyes, like, yo, I saw that shit. And like, they had to have a talk. It's one of those, but it's like, what if that, but funny? And it's like, oh no.
Maybe we had that.
I don't know if it works, but it's funny.
Yeah.
I don't think it's funny for the right reasons, but it is funny. Anyway,
and she comes back later. There's also another.
She shows up more than once. Yes. I don't know if I do want her to be a recurring character. Like, assuming more of this gets made, I don't know.
She's only shows up really twice. So like, if they keep at this pace, fine.
Okay.
You can't let her have too much, but just a little bit.
Next season, like, Jet's like going through he's like at her house trying to find some information, like a dossier she has or something, some kind of info. He just walks in, she's standing there in a silky negligee. Hey, you want me to be the marshmallow in your cocoa? That was off the dome. That was a good one. That sounds like some shit she would say, doesn't it? They need to hire me as a writer, baby.
Spiegel.
She does say that, yeah. She's got a heavy lisp. All right. I feel like we've done enough.
Yeah, so there's Woodcock. I think the internet has probably noticed Woodcock by now.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's gone fucking viral, my guy. To the point that people who I follow and respect, who also review animes and stuff, were talking about, and they're like, "Yo, I thought that line was a shit post. That's real." But let's go on. Let's talk about these visuals.
Yeah. Overall, I would say that the show looks okay.
It's fine.
I would say that there are moments where the CG is not good.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, the big set pieces, the ships, all that stuff, it's good.
It looks fine. I think.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
We had talked before about how there were some opinions on the costuming and stuff. I think the costumes and whatnot look great.
Yeah,
I think
so
they're cartoony enough that they're recognizable, but they're real enough that it reads.
This isn't just for anime.
Yeah,
I think costumes and stuff are lose no matter what you want, no matter which way you go. Because if you change any little thing, trust me, I work at a comic book store. If you change any little fucking detail on anything, you're about to have fucking fire-breathing nerds.
Yeah, any kind of adaptation.
Then you have the costumes come out real, and they're like, well, these costumes look kind of cheap. Like, what the fuck do you think they were gonna look like, dude?
It's a blue suit with a yellow shirt. How do you make it look expensive?
Yeah, it's wild.
I don't know. I'm sure there's someone out there who knows.
Always that goalpost that's moving a little further.
I'll say I'm sure there's someone out there who knows more about costuming than I do that could make.
Yeah,
I've seen some good ass cosplays, right? Mm-hmm. This is a fucking Netflix show. It looks great. It looks fine.
And they're broke as fuck, by the way.
Wow. But yes, the big thing I think is like some of the like visual, the backgrounds and stuff. It is like clearly one of those like CG hologram soundstage kind of things.
There is one. Okay, so there's a couple of things. First, yeah, there's some weird CG that happens in here. Also, I don't know if the show is shot at 24 frames per second or what but it seemed like it was moving faster than that. It felt slightly soap opera-ish, but not a lot.
I didn't get that, so
not a lot. I didn't, and I checked to make sure my TV settings were right. They are.
Ooh, let me ask you this, because this is the thing I wanted to ask you, because we talked before about how you would watch something on Netflix and get like artifacts and stuff. Have you still been getting those?
No.
Okay, so that was the thing I would get a lot, and I switched over to, instead of watching it through my TV app, watching it on the PlayStation on Netflix, and it feels like it looks way better all the time.
Yeah, I watched it on my
on the
Series
Xbox.
S.
Yeah.
Which plays movies in 4K. So
nice.
I mean, my TV
and you got the 4K subscription.
Yeah. But,
pretty good.
I thought overall looked good. I thought, it didn't have the same budget as, let's say, a Stranger Things on Netflix.
Sure.
That's probably the biggest show to come off of Netflix. Maybe there's something higher than that, but
yeah, I think what I wrote here was I think visually it looks better than those CWDC shows, but not as good as the Netflix Marvel
Everybody
shows.
watched Squid Game pretty much. It looks better than Squid Game.
I didn't watch Squid Game. I heard it was good. Haley watched Squid Game. She's trying to get me to watch Squid Game.
It's very serviceable, but it looks better than the CW stuff.
Yeah.
It looks better than a like syndicated TV show.
Oh, sure. Yeah, totally. I think it looks fine. For the most part. Again, like you said, there's some bits where the CG looks kind of weird. When you first see Vicious, he's just like staring at a fish tank, and it's clearly a CG fish tank.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Face bullet wound is CG. And at one point it blurs.
Oh,
terrible.
fun.
Somebody should have caught that.
Yeah.
But there's one episode where it's the brain scratch episode. That's not really a spoiler because it showed in the trailer. So
are you going to talk about the weird like filter they had over?
Yeah,
the thing?
It's like, so they crush they make it very soft and they make the definition very low and then turn the sharpness up. It creates this cartooning filter.
Yes.
If I were to do it on Final Cut Pro, I have that filter. It's called cartoon.
It looks exactly like some shit that I would have got when I was fucking around with like Photoshop years ago.
Wish that they would have just paid a studio to do it in anime form. To do those flashback scenes, put it in the anime form.
Maybe, but I will say
been fucking cool.
The thing about that one is that in those scenes, it's that weird cartoony filter, but also it's not the whole screen. It's like everything except the faces of the characters who are actually in it. So like it's like here's John Cho regular style, and then as it radiates away from him, you're seeing that happen.
Yeah, it's just his face is detailed, but like to his hair starts doing it.
Yeah.
And it gets stronger and
it gets
stronger.
like on the edges, like the building you're seeing in the background looks real crazy.
I get it. I don't think they had to do that. I think it would have been way cooler if they would have went for an anime approach.
Maybe.
I think people really would have appreciated it.
Just do the straight up like whatever that song is for the music video.
Yeah, gradually let it turn in, and then once you realize, okay, this it's repeating,
Take on me.
then go ahead and smash it right into the anime.
Just do the full take on me. It would have been great.
Yeah, people would have loved it, man. I would have loved it.
I'm with you, but also, I don't know. You know, animation can take a while.
Yeah, but I mean, Homeboy got hurt for a little while. They had to stop production for a little while.
Maybe. I don't know. I thought it was fine. I feel like that episode worked
fine.
for me.
I think that was a good episode. I just think it could have been cooler.
Yeah. The only other thing I'll say about the visuals is they have none of the like space, like the ship combat stuff from the anime, which totally makes sense. I've realized that would be like pretty difficult to pull off convincingly. Yeah. I will say I feel like they really overdo it with the Dutch angles. Everything does not need to be crooked, my guy.
Yeah.
I get it, but it don't need to be all the time. Like, there are some episodes where just every other shot is about 20, 25, 30 degrees on that camera. And it's like, this is unnecessary. I only bring it up because I did notice how often they would do it. If they did it like a few times, maybe, but it was like a fucking lot is all. And I don't think it's that bad, but it's like, damn, dude, not all the time. But yeah, I think otherwise it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about it?
No, I think it's perfectly fine. It's acceptable.
Well, you want to move on to the music and sound?
Yeah. I mean, this one's gonna be the easiest one so far.
It fucking rocks.
It rules.
It's great.
Yeah.
They
you get a few new tracks in there too.
Yeah. Let me tell you what I wrote. I just said, hell yes, it works. There are a few eyebrow raising bits. I think like there's a weird mixing of Tank in, I think it's episode 2. They kind of fiddle with it to try and make it go from this cold open to the intro. It doesn't really work. There's a couple times. I thought
it sounded kind of cool. Like if I listened to it on its own, I probably still, I thought it was okay.
So
it didn't bother me.
Having listened to the full track of that as many times as I can, no.
With the edit?
No, like the full version of Tank. Like I can hear what they were doing was like just taking this clip from later in the song and this clip from later in the song and just and then getting back to the intro. And it does not work. For me anyway, it did not work at all. So we took a quick pause there and I played it for Roger. It's weird, right?
Yeah, it is. It wasn't what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the remix.
Yeah, there's an actual remix of Tank in there that sounds fine.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it got a little bit of a samba thing to it. Like I enjoyed that one. It's cool. A little ever so slightly digitized. I enjoyed that one. But no, episode 2 has a weird
where Jet gets hit in the face with a pot. And it's a Teddy Bomber episode.
Like it's the thing. It's what it is they start the song. They do the I think it's time to blow this thing. Where usually that would be the intro, and then it goes into the intro. Well, we just did the actual talking bit. Let's just throw in something else. So they take like these different parts of the sax solo from later on and just drop them in where that talking would be, and it does not work.
Yeah, it seems weird.
It's really strange. That's neither here nor there. That's one moment that phone's still going. Phone's still going. Okay.
Oh god.
Oh no, we're getting demonetized. No. Yeah, that's one little moment that like didn't really work. There's also a couple times where like they'll drop in one of the old school like original Cowboy Bebop tracks for like just a couple seconds and then like fade out into like a different track. And those ones are like kind of like, hey, remember this song? All right, here's the actual show now. Like when they go to the scene, which is kind of weird. But for the most part, it's the classic tracks, and then it's all these new tracks that so convincingly just nestle in amongst them that if you didn't already know those songs, you would think it was all the same soundtrack, and it works very fucking well. It's very well done. Sound effects are fine. Like a lot of it sounds really, it just sounds very good. It's easily, I'll just say now, easily my favorite part of the show was the music.
Sure.
I will also say there's a little bit of fun with some licensed music. Jet, it turns out, is a big Charlie Parker fan, and he's listening to A Night in Tunisia in one of the flashbacks. Now, me personally, I played trumpet in high school jazz band, so I prefer the Dizzy Gillespie version from Berks Works, but I get it. Great track, great song. Shout out to Jet. But yeah, anything else to say about the music sound, really?
Not really. I mean, I just think they did a great job overall mixing this thing. There were some weird moments.
Yeah.
If I had one critique, it's that the outro, there should have been a proper outro.
Yeah, they mix it up a few times.
And they used Real Folk Blues 3 times.
Yes. I will say that, like, so all 3 of those.
Maybe it's because Netflix tries desperately to skip it for you.
It keeps trying to get you to skip past it. Like, it has like a fade out on the actual scene. And by the time that's over, the next episode has already started, unless you do watch credits, in which case a few times it goes to Real Folk Blues, and several others it's like these different songs are like a continuation of that last bit of like whatever little piano piece was playing.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
I wish they would have taken the time to do an outro.
Would have been nice. Would have been nice if they had done like a proper outro with like Real Folk Blues, obviously. I mean, you can't
it's such an iconic part of the show, you know.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
It seems weird to have Tank there and not, you know, recreate some of these shots or whatever for the Real Folk Blues. But it is what it is. I mean, nothing to really dock points for.
Yeah,
just something that I was like, oh.
Yeah, I wish they had done it like that too, but you know. You want to get on to the
sure, dude. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to?
I can do either way, man.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So, like Brandon said earlier, don't go into this show expecting the anime Cowboy Bebop.
Just watch the anime.
If that is what you want to see,
it is also
then
on Netflix.
Just go watch the anime. Yes, also on Netflix.
Yes.
Now, if you want a show that is going to be this show feels like it draws a lot of inspiration from Cowboy Bebop, as I would suspect that it should.
Yeah.
However, I do feel like the name of Cowboy Bebop holds it back a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think this show would be getting quite the negative amount of press that it's gotten if it wasn't Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
What I said to you yesterday was, if they made this show and changed the characters' names and costumes and said, hey, we took a whole lot of inspiration from Cowboy Bebop to make this, people would have lost their shit over it. I genuinely do believe that. I don't think people are going to be like, you know, like, this is a must-see, but I think people would appreciate it a whole lot more. If that makes sense.
I'm with you to an extent. I also feel like if they had done that, it would have been one of those where, like, it would have been one of those can't win situations.
Yeah.
Because I think what probably would have happened in that situation, people would be like, I mean, it's no right show. Why not just call it Cowboy Bebop? Whereas they call it Cowboy Bebop, it's like, this ain't Cowboy Bebop. So you can't fucking win, baby.
Maybe you're right, dude. Maybe your reality is right. I don't know. I feel like people would appreciate it a lot more and be more open-minded to it because, you know, of course, this is going to be one of those shows that we're never actually going to get a good feeling of what a aggregate review for general watchers is. Because, you know, immediately it gets review bombed with zeros. But also it has the stands that give it a perfect 10. This show ain't a perfect 10.
No.
And I don't think anybody actually thinks that.
It's not a 10. It's certainly not a 0.
So we'll never know how it feels. And now it's just up to Netflix whether or not they renew it. They feel like it should be renewed. Right now it's sitting at about 50-50 critics and regular watchers.
Yeah, I think the last I saw was like right around somewhere between like 50 and 65, something like that.
Right
depending
now it's
on
53 for audience score on Rotten Tomatoes and like 49 on critic score.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
It's kind of wild to me too how many critics were very hard on it because it wasn't the anime.
Yeah, and it's like,
come on, guys. I'm not a professional. Like,
I feel
maybe
like
you're not as professional as I think you are.
I feel like that is a lot of, and I get it because I'm the same way with a lot of stuff. There's a very heavy contingency of folks who just say, stop fucking making remakes.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. But if the remake's already happening, I feel like you got to give it a better chance than what a lot of folks are giving it. And it's understandable. And I'm not gonna shit on anybody's opinion.
Here's the thing about the cow. I would say, I see a lot of people saying don't make anime live action, and I think that's bullshit. Because whether or not it's good, it doesn't fucking matter if it's good or not. Somebody should be able, if they were able to obtain a license or get hired, and they're excited about it, they should at least be able to try their hand at it. Even if it sucks, it don't fucking hurt you.
Yeah.
You don't, it's that same old thing with art where people are like, well, I could have done better than this. But did you do better than this? You don't have to like it.
Yeah.
It's still art and it's still somebody's, somebody put time into this. whether or not you like it, and they should be allowed that time to do it. If that makes sense. I'm not trying to soapbox anybody or anything like that, but if something is getting a live action adaptation, God knows most of the time anime sucks, dude. And I'm so glad that I went into this show with the bar pretty low and my mind fairly open.
Yeah.
And I think it's weird because I think that you need to go into the show with a low bar and an open mind. But also you need to kind of close your mind a little bit to realize that this isn't going to be the anime.
Yeah, certainly.
It's not going to be a shot for shot. It's a lot of inspiration is drawn. A lot of stories are changed. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It feels like the people that worked on this show did take time to try and give you something good. Whether or not you feel like it's good, I do feel like the effort is there.
Yeah.
And I do think the show is watchable. I actually did like it, and I hope that it gets a second season.
Yeah, me too. I'll definitely watch more of it if they make more of it.
Yeah, the cast was great. You can tell that they're fans of the show. They took the time to learn the characters, and I loved it. I loved the effort.
Yeah.
Maybe not the show.
Yeah.
I didn't hate the show.
I think I said before, it's like, not unlike the Sonic movie, I looked at it and said, it can't be good, but it can be fun. And that is how I walked into this one, because if it turns out it is even a little bit good, then I'm pretty happy about it. And you know what? Pretty happy about it. It's not bad.
Some of the episodes flew by.
Oh, yeah.
I was, some of the episodes, there were truly standout episodes in this show.
There's a couple like really, really good ones, and then there's some that are like, it was all right.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just gonna read what I wrote. For the je ne sais quoi, I wrote, it's a bit uneven in a few ways, but the biggest one for me is that the show, it does this thing where it tries to distance itself just enough from the source material, as it must, but it still makes these occasional references and nods and stuff to the original work that don't always work. Sometimes they work really great, like the fact that it starts with almost exactly the beginning of the movie, Knocking on Heaven's Door, or whatever it's called, except instead of a like convenience store, it's a casino.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
The way that
awesome.
And that also the casino is called Watanabe Casino.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's really fun. There's moments like that that are really good. There's other times, or like Cowboy Andy is on the leaderboards on Big Shots, the bounty hunter leaderboards. That's really fun. Then there's some bits that are just a little bit confusing because I don't know why you did that. I will give, this is an ever so minor, this is a spoiler for the anime, a very minor spoiler for the show because it happens in episode 1. In the anime, Vicious drops a really badass line where as he kills a character, he says, and you will cry tears of scarlet. And then he runs his sword across this person's eyes. And it's really fucking badass. All right?
Yep.
And this anime, they
in live action?
In live action, excuse me. In the live action, they introduce Vicious. You see him standing with his back toward the camera before he has been revealed. He's looking at a fish tank, and as these people approach him, he whispers to himself, and you will cry tears of scarlet. And it's like, why?
Yeah, why?
That means nothing.
Later on, he gets a chance to deliver a line from the anime, and it was awesome.
It was very good. Really good that later on. But like, and that was a different line. But here, it's like, you could make the argument that he's talking about the red-eye drug, because that's what he's pushing, you know? But doesn't really make any sense in that scene. It's like, it kind of like, and this is kind of a weird, almost tangent. It's kind of like when we talked about the Final Fantasy remake, the demo and everything, where I said, this feels like in that demo, they're dropping references to Sephiroth off the bat. Sephiroth doesn't show up till the end of where this game should end, because it's just the Shinra arc, right? So you don't even know that's a character. It's one of those where it's like, hey, here's a thing for you, the fans. The thing is, it's different enough that the really hardcore people are already going to be pissed off. So to try and throw them a bone with something like that feels just wrong. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Beyond
Especially
that,
whenever you've proved, or they do prove in the show that they have the ability to
oh yeah, totally,
to nail it.
Absolutely. Moreover, and this is like, again, a little bit of a tangent, I do want to say that there's a lot of stuff going around about online, mostly about the makers of the show and the stars of the show and their intentions and changes from the anime. And I would encourage all of you, please don't get clickbaited. There's one in particular that I keep seeing that is Mason Alexander Park, who plays Grin. And it's a picture of them. And it says, this person says they're righting the wrongs of the anime. And baby, that is 100% clickbait, because every time I've seen that, it is just this picture. There's not even a link to the actual story, but there's a whole bunch of people getting mad about it. And if you read the actual story, they don't even say that. The quote is a misattribution from a comment about a completely different thing. And it's not even a link, so you can't even find that out unless you take the time to weed it out, and no one's taking the time to weed it out. They're just mad in the comments. Yeah. It is fully manufactured outrage, and it's fucking gross.
Yeah, it is.
Particularly because it seems like it's one of those things where, like, and maybe I'm soapboxing here, fine. You're thinking too much, Brandon, fine. But, like, Mason Alexander Park is a non-binary person who looks a way that a lot of folks would look at this and say, that person's different, and I don't like their opinion. Time to shit on them.
Yeah.
It seems really easy to get someone mad about it.
Grin is also non-binary.
Yes, literally is non-binary in both shows.
Yeah.
Y'all. Like, I was reading the Wikipedia.
I saw somebody say, Grin, look what they did to my boy. Grin is not a boy.
Grin literally in the anime says, I am both and neither. That is a non-binary to a T, y'all. The Wikipedia says Grin, who was reimagined as non-binary. That ain't a reimagining, baby. But whatever. But yeah, it's shitty. And like also that the same actor, Mason Alexander Park, is also set to play a role in the Netflix Sandman thing that's happening. I will bet you $50 right now this same shit happens.
Oh yeah,
that someone tries to use them to shit on the show.
I saw a lot of people complaining like, well, they made Cowboy Bebop woke. Like, come on, fuck on.
You sound like Kid Rock. Fuck you. Anyway, that said, my final word on this one is, yes, it is different. We knew it would be different. It must be different. We knew it couldn't be as good. It can't be as good. Mr. MVP from WWE, Montel Vontavious Porter, who's a gigantic fucking Cowboy Bebop fan, even said, like, hey, it's not as good as the show, but it couldn't be as good as the show. So there you go. He knows. Why don't you know? So obviously many of you know. But
I think
my
he
last
even
word
recommends that you watch it.
Yeah. My final word here is, I can't be mad about this show. I will not be mad about this show. I will save all of my rage and anger for if that live action American Akira ever gets made.
Oh yeah.
Now that I will burn to the ground.
Hey man, maybe you'll like it though.
I don't think I could, but I guess we'll see. And with that, let's go on to the scores, baby boy. Okay. How did you feel about the story and setting?
I gave it 1.25.
I gave it a 1. Characters and development?
I gave it 1.25.
I gave it a 1. Music and sound?
You skipped art and animation, or the visuals.
Oh, right. Visuals, excuse me.
The visuals, I gave a 1.
I gave it a 1.5.
Okay.
And the music and sound?
I gave it a 1.5.
I gave it a 2. You know I love this soundtrack.
Oh, I wish, yeah. Maybe I should have went full 2 on there because I love it in the anime. I don't know. There were a couple of things that miffed me here and there. Maybe I did deduct for the Real Folk Blues. Who knows?
Maybe you did. That sounds like something. I know how much you love Real Folk Blues. And finally, the Je ne sais quoi?
I gave it 1.5.
I gave it 1.5, yeah. And that about does it, man. So what's that put you at?
That puts me at a 6.5.
That's a 7. Just barely a 7.
Yeah, so you're giving it the Animos definitely.
I'd give it a low Animos definitely. Again, boy oh boy, walk in knowing what you're getting.
Mine is trudging. It's in between an Anime B and an Animos definitely, which I think is a very fair range. Like,
yeah,
I think the show could be improved. I hope that they do more, and I hope they keep working on this, especially with the later episodes, the stuff they were doing there, and they just carry that over to finish out the show, because it's quite obvious they have in at least are hoping to do more.
Yeah, there's some moments in here that are so fun. I really, man, I
But
know
will
they
people shit on it hard enough to ruin it for everybody? That
maybe,
enjoy
probably,
it?
honestly, probably gonna happen. But there was moments in here that I really wish they had pushed into a little bit more. Like you see the swordfish so many times. You see Spike getting into and flying around in the swordfish so many times. It's like you really want to see a good dog fight so he can blast that big cannon. Faye does not have her ship, the Red Tail, at first.
Yeah.
And then she gets it, and it's like, oh
It's
boy,
pretty cool.
And she gets a fun little moment.
Yeah.
But you know, I wanted more, and I hope we get it. I really
actually
do.
thought that we were gonna get a space fight at one point, but we did not.
We did not. But maybe next time. Anyway, that's about it. We're done with the review. We're going to talk a little bit more in the ramble. So thank you so much for hanging with us. If you're on the YouTube, we'll have the full description, links and everything in the description. If you're on the podcast portion, the audio, we will have everything in the show notes. Check it out, and we'll have the full plugs at the end of the
And who knows what we're gonna watch next? We don't. But
we don't know.
We don't know when we're gonna record.
Maybe we'll
next.
do another movie night because I got a couple anime movies I've been wanting to check out.
It's holiday season, so this is where. I mean, I imagine we're getting close to doing our end of the year stuff. So.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be real fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Especially since I don't feel like you watched a whole lot this year. You've been so busy.
I actually feel like I did watch a fair amount.
Okay.
Because I was thinking I was in that same track of mind. I was like, am I going to be able to pick 5 or 10 things? And then I start going through and I'm like, actually, yeah, I can.
All right.
For multiple categories. So
I know I got one that I can guarantee, like when we do like, here's top 5 animes for each of us. Here's top 5 intros, top 5 outros. I've got your number 1 outro for sure. I know exactly what it is, no doubt. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to guess, but we'll get there.
Okay.
But yes, we're going to bust on into the ramble. Thank you so much for hanging. And we will have the full plugs at the end of the ramble. And with that, see you, Space Cowboy. Love